From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Friday's edition of For the People. It's 7/7/7, July 7th, 2017, and the G summit there in Hamburg. Yeah, it is a summit that people are watching. It's the G20 summit that Vladimir Putin is kind of like the biggest piece in the whole deal, though world leaders and developing nations leaders are there. But the fixation, obviously, in our country at least, is the meeting between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Donald Trump on a mission says he wants to work out some things and certainly has had a whole year to be able to figure this whole thing out. So, yeah, he knew he was going to be president. Absolutely. It's just he has a strong message for Putin, and it's going to be face-to-face. First meeting's 35 minutes. It's going to be very, very quick, but mentioning many things like the meddling is probably going to be mentioned. But the big thing, obviously, is what? Syria. There's a proxy war going on over there. They're propping up Assad. Big mess. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead over there. What to do with them and so much more. But here is the two of them just moments ago with cameras clicking, and there's just so much press. You have to really listen. So here we go.
President Putin and I have been discussing various things, and I think it's going very well. We've had some very, very good talks. We're going to have a talk now, and obviously that will continue. But we look forward to a lot of very positive things happening for Russia, for the United States, and for everybody concerned. And it's an honor to be with you.
Я очень рад с вами встречаться, и мы с вами обсуждаем уже целый ряд вопросов, и будем продолжать обсуждать целый ряд вопросов. И я с нетерпением ожидаю такой возможности. Я думаю, что это все будет позитив как для России, для Соединенных Штатов, так и для всех. И для меня большая честь с вами встречаться.
Уважаемый господин президент, мы с вами несколько раз разговаривали по телефону.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, we spoke over the phone with you several times.
По очень важным вопросам двусторонней повестки дня и международной.
On very important bilateral and international issues.
Конечно, телефонных разговоров недостаточно.
Well, phone conversation is never enough, definitely.
Если мы хотим решать вопросы позитивной двусторонней повестки дня и наиболее важные острые вопросы международной повестки, то, конечно, такие встречи лично необходимы.
But if we want to have a positive development in bilaterals and be able to resolve most international topics and issues, definitely we need personal meetings.
Я очень рад с вами познакомиться. Надеюсь, что, как вы сказали, наша встреча принесет позитивный результат.
And I'm delighted to be able to meet you personally, Mr. President, and I hope, as you have said, our meeting will yield positive results in the news throughout the years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did you get anything out of that? I mean, I did, but you have to really, really listen out of this. But ahead of the discussions, ahead of the talks this morning, Donald Trump tweeted, he says, I look forward to all the meetings today with world leaders, including my meeting with Vladimir Putin to discuss many things. So this was the very heavily anticipated meeting, being closely scrutinized by many folks. Trump's predecessor, Barack Obama, notoriously strained ties to Putin, as you know, and it's been a downward spiral since. So it'll be very interesting to see what is yielded out of it. But the translation that came out from the translator that you may have been able to hear was that, he looks forward to substantive conversations with Donald Trump, and that would be a good thing. I think the biggest thing that this president's going to have to find, in my opinion, is commonalities, common ground. I mean, that would be sensible to me. The big one that we've talked about is ISIS. We're both fighting them, but how we're fighting them is kind of a mystery on most days. If you talk to anybody that's on the ground in Syria, these people want to have their base set up there permanently in Syria, and I think if they feel like they give up any ground to the United States, that they're going to be losing that deal under the Assad regime and not knowing what their deal is. And they're looking for power, they're looking for prestige, they're looking for placement. But there has to be, for the people of Syria, and just talking about the Syrian folks, hundreds of thousands of people have died. Men, women, and children. It's a proxy war, no doubt about it, and it's been a drain on our forces. It's been a drain in so many different ways, and it's not been dealt with properly, obviously. And the tomahawks were the first real reaction from a leader, Donald Trump, to let Assad know you can't just gas your people. We can't sit idly doing this. And that was the same thing with Saddam Hussein with the Kurds to the north. I mean, there's bad things that dictators do, and they do them on a daily basis. But that just seemed like it touched a nerve with this U.S. president. It'll be interesting, and it has been interesting, I'd have to say, in Hamburg, because the number was about 70 police officers were injured in riots. Riot police have had to hose folks down on the streets, pepper gas, environmentalists, people not liking, industrialized nations. And I'm thinking to myself, Germany's not, but they're not liking America very, very much. And I'm thinking to myself, with all the industrialization, with all of that going on, and believe me, a lot going on, estimated 100,000 people in total for a demonstration. Some 12,000 people took part in the Central March, and authorities also said organizers of the demonstration intend to march, called off the event once violence broke out. So I should say that, again, that the demonstrators, they intended to be peaceful, but those that called on the march event, once the violence broke out, they called a stop to it, but it didn't stop. Of course, you're going to get a lot of folks not liking the West and other world leaders. Of course, environment was a big one for the environment, and also trade and such for this summit as world leaders have gathered in Warsaw. Poland, an amazing speech that Donald Trump gave, and I thought it was really, really powerful. An ideology, folks, that I believe he's fighting for, and the only president in recent times to really call it out. A lot of people say that this speech in Poland was a very defining moment for Donald Trump. So let's listen to a portion of that. Donald Trump.
By another oppressive ideology. One that seeks to export terrorism and extremism all around the globe. The West became great, not because of paperwork and regulations, but because people were allowed to chase their dreams and pursue their destinies. Americans, Poles, and nations of Europe value individual freedom and sovereignty. We must work together to confront forces, whether they come from inside or out, from the South or the East, that threaten over time to undermine these values.
And they don't like capitalists, which is really just funny. And I'm kind of thinking, okay, you don't like capitalism, but yet there it is. You got your iPhones, you got your droids. Hello. Don't use modern day electronics. Don't buy from Amazon. Come on, give me a break. Violence never solves anything. and they're just making idiots out of themselves. And the protest got 100 officers hurt, and it's very, very unfortunate that that's taken place. But they anticipated this to happen, but the mass force that they had, 100 versus 100,000 protesters. That was a small number, I guess, but they were ready for just about anything. But Reuters shows these just stunning pictures at the G20 summit in Hamburg, showing the spray and pepper spray and flames and cars on fire. Kind of a mess there ahead of this whole deal. And they're going to be hanging out today. It's not going to be any different. And it was so severe, as a matter of fact, earlier today in Hamburg, that Melania Trump, the first lady, was not able to get out of the residence that the Trumps were staying in because of security concerns. She couldn't even get out to carry on with her schedule. I understand at this moment they were able to clear a path safely to be able to get her out of the residence and on to her schedule. But that's how bad things are over there. Unreal. And it's environmental capitalism, anti-capitalists. I guess some of the Bernie Sanders people over there. I listen to seriously, I try to listen through some of the conversations that these folks have that are anti-capitalist, and I just look around and I listen and I say, okay, fine, you don't want to be a part of the establishment, so you're going to be anti, you're going to be on the outside. So I got to ask you a question. How are you going to make your money? Oh, and please, whatever you do not go into a Starbucks and order a latte. Don't buy an iPhone. Don't buy any electronics or computers. Don't buy music. Because they're all part of the establishment. Yeah, don't do that. Now, a lot of liberals are sitting on the sidelines, and of course they're going to be quarterbacking this thing and, commentating and pontificating as talking heads do. And don't call me I'm not a talking head. I think I'm more intelligent than just that. And the bobbleheads, I don't think we're ever going to put one of those together. That would just be crazy to have one of those made. But it would be kind of fun, though. Those things are kind of weird. But people are asking, will Donald Trump be tough enough on Putin? And, well, this is what Trump said in Warsaw, Poland, before he went over.
We urge Russia to cease its destabilizing activities in Ukraine and elsewhere, and its support for hostile regimes, including Syria and Iran, and to instead join the community of responsible nations in our fight against common enemies and in defense of civilization itself.
I think he pretty much intelligently, methodically laid it out. Wow. That's my president. That's Donald Trump, my friends. Very proud, and he's proud to represent the United States here at the G20, and it's great that we can cover it here and talk a little about it with what's going on over there. Just briefly here, but world leaders talking about what they can do to team up and combat some of the biggest pressing issues around the world. Humanitarian, which is a big deal for the G20, and wars and how they can work together collaboratively to make their economy stronger and from all vantages and for its people. So it's a good thing, and it's nice to see Donald Trump fitting right in. But let's just hope and pray that some good things come out of the G20, because there are destabilizing actions going on with Russia. As you know, that's just plain and simple. And very hostile regimes, as he put it, including Syria and Iran. And Iran and Russia working together, North Korea working together with them, and, of course, supplying them all the stuff that they need. And Russia stands to make money, obviously, from all of these particular sales. Donald Trump, the businessman, knows the money. He knows that Putin is, trying to put his country back together. That's the way that we've seen it for a while, but how he's doing it and how he's going about is a little unsavory, especially with Crimea, And with North Korea, there you go, try to say that really quickly. You get the point, okay? But